Hey everyone, welcome to our masterclass on personal finance. And we're going to talk a lot about cash flow and net worth. This is going to be a working session. So I want you to be mentally prepared to actually do work. If you've got a laptop that you'll be using, make sure you grab your laptop. If you're on your phone, make sure that you've got your information for your phone. I want you to just kind of mentally be prepared for working right now and really making a dent in where you are and what it is that you want to accomplish. Because the main thing I want you to get when you leave this masterclass is I want you to be fully prepared to take your finances, really take charge of your finances so you can make a dent in what's happening. And it really is a mental mind shift about your finances. It's the way you approach your finances that's going to make a huge difference. I jumped right in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mary Amoido, and together with my amazing husband, Richard, we are the co-founders of Investor Next Door Club. And Investor Next Door Club is a financial community for people who want to get ahead financially. So we teach our members all about personal finances, financial strategies, tax strategies. We also give them access to our investing clubs where they can invest with just a few $1,000s instead of tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars and actually have fractional ownership of real estate. And we walk them through how to actually become an investor and create an investor mindset. But in these master classes, we really focus on different aspects of things that we teach our community just to give you an idea of what it is that we do. So tonight we're going to really talk about cash flow and net worth. And cash flow is where you build margin. We're going to go over information on how you create a game plan to create margin. Investing happens inside the margin. And if you don't have margin, you don't have any way to invest and really get ahead. And most people manage money by feelings. Like they feel like they have a lot of money. They feel like it's good. They feel like it's bad. They check their balance and then they hope. That's literally the extent of how most people manage their finances. But wealth builders manage by the numbers, and we're going to change that. If you've been a managed by feel, we're going to teach you how to start managing by numbers. And if you manage by numbers, we're going to teach you how to dive in a little bit deeper. And we're going to plant a framework now so that you can see it, you can free it, and you can grow it. So it's really knowing exactly where you are to get to where you want to be. Kind of like when you're looking at a big map. You know, we lived in Japan for about 18 months, quite a few years ago, and we would look at the subway maps. And until you find you are here, you can't figure out how to get to where you want to be. So same way with your finances. If you don't know you are here, you cannot create a clear game plan and a map to get you to where you want to go in the shortest distance. You can probably feel your way around, but that's not going to get you there very rapidly. So like I said before, we're going to open up our tools. So if you're a member, you want to open up your Pocket Nest app. If everyone else, we're going to show you some of the free tools we have on our website, our cash flow calculator, our net worth calculator, and our debt reduction calculator. And then all of the calculators, your Pocket Nest, the online calculators, it's all private. We store nothing. It all runs in the browser in your Pocket Nest app. That's all private to you. And then before we dive in deep, I want to ask you something personal, and you don't have to answer in the chat, but I want you to answer for yourself. Do you know your exact monthly cash flow number right off the top of your head? Like the exact number. It could be within a few $100s, but you know what it takes for you to run your household on a month-to-month basis. If you don't know that right off the top of your head, we are going to change that. If you know that, kudos to you. Great job. You have already passed step one. So you can't invest what you can't see. So most people never build wealth, not because they don't earn enough, but because they've never sat down to know their numbers and put a plan behind them. We were talking to our daughter earlier today. She's 21. And my husband and I were telling her, listen, the reason why we created Investor Next Door Club is that we wish that when we started out, not much older than you are today, that we knew some of the things we know today, and there was a way for us to learn it without going through the school of hard knocks. And one of the things that there is to learn is to really create a margin inside of your income. And it's in the margin that you really have the power to invest. So the more margin you create, and margin is the difference between what you make and what you spend. That's the margin. Wealth is built from margin, not income. We know lots and lots and lots of people who make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, people who are accredited investors, but they spend everything they make. They have zero margin. So they have zero ability to invest and create more net worth. But we also know people who don't make quite that much money, but they have a lot of margin, and they've been smart with their margin, and they've invested it well, and they continue to grow their net worth. So income is what comes in every single month. Margin is what you have left over after your expenses, after you spend. And wealth is margin that's invested and compounded over time. So really, really important you get that distinction so you know where to go. So you got to see it. You got to know your cash flow and know your net worth. We are going to talk a lot about cash flow and net worth. Most everyday people, when they talk about money, they think about one thing, which is income. And that's one facet of it. Wealthy people focus on cash flow and net worth. Those are the two things that they focus on. So your monthly income minus your monthly expenses, that's the cash flow you have. So if you have monthly income and all your monthly expenses take up all the income, you have zero cash flow. There's no cash flowing through you. It's just going out. So you want that number to be positive. That's the margin that you're going to invest. And if it's negative, that's the leak that you need to fix. So your net worth is based on what you own minus what you owe. So that's your scoreboard. Now, a lot of people think that their primary residence, their home, is part of their net worth. In any scenario, your home is not part of your net worth. Does it have value? Yes. Can you sell it and take money? Yes. But the reason why for most financial spheres, most financial institutions, they don't consider that as part of your net worth is because you have to live somewhere. And so even if you sell it, you still have to go buy something else. You still have to live somewhere. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to figure that out live tonight. Now, we might not get everywhere in, the next 23 minutes or so, but you're going to get a better idea of where you are. So if you're in Investor Next Door Club, you have Pocket Nest. So if you haven't already downloaded that app, you definitely want to download it. One of the benefits of Pocket Nest is it's actually going to use some behavioral science after you've done a little bit of a test on there to figure out how you relate to money, how you operate with money. And it's going to give you recommendations based on how you operate. So it is a much more robust tool that we provide for our members free as part of your membership. That's going to be more robust than using the online cash flow and net worth calculators that we have on our website. For those of you who are not members, you can go to our website, investornextdoorclub.com, and under tools, you can see the financial calculator. This is a financial cash flow calculator and a net worth calculator. All that's free. We do not store any of that information. Once you put all that in, you can download it into an Excel spreadsheet and then update your Excel spreadsheet when it makes sense. So you're going to enter your income and expenses. So in Pocket Nest, it's going to connect directly to your account. It's going to track your income and your spending and your net worth automatically. You don't have to calculate that by yourself. And then you're going to turn this portion of our training, the see it part, into a live dashboard, not just a one-time snapshot. It's going to update minute by minute as things change and shift. And so it's going to give you personal guidance as your picture changes. So if you do coffee 3 times a week, they might suggest a cheaper, more inexpensive coffee shop that's close and nearby that you can get something similar and save you money. So it's going to give you things like that. That's going to help you with really managing your cash flow. And then for those of you who are not, you can go into our website that if you're not a member, And you can enter your income and expenses, then your assets and liabilities in both the cash flow calculator and the net worth calculator. I'm not going to go into all of that. We do have another masterclass that we've done. You can look up all the masterclasses on our YouTube site, Investor Next Door Club, and you can find that information on there. And then you can download it to be able to edit it and export that. Then once you know your income and expenses and you kind of start looking at your cash flow, you've got to create margin. So if you've got some margin and your income minus your expenses is a positive, that's great. You want to create even more margin. You want to look and see where you can find some hidden money. We did another masterclass on finding hidden money. That's a great place to go. But you want to really reduce your outflow and you want to scan for any kind of leaks, and then you want to eliminate your debt. For those of you that are in our community and you are still in debt, you make sure you go and do the debt forgiveness consultation. So we have a company that works with our members and they help you to have 20 to 40% of some of your high interest debt completely annihilated. So, and reduce your monthly expenses and reduce your interest rate. So very, very important. Debt payments are margin held hostage. Okay. So I want to repeat that. Debt payments are margin held hostage. So you're not just paying off debt, you're buying back your own cash flow. So very, very important that you get debt managed, because that's where that extra cash flow is just going out paying interest and not going to work. So very, very important you do that. If you are not part of our community, you can also go to our website and go to look at our debt reduction calculator. So you're going to go in and you're going to put in all your information for all your debt. And it's going to give you two options to figure out what's going to make the most sense for you. You can do the snowball option, or you can do the greatest interest option. And it's going to show you what different payment types are going to do and how much the payoff, when the payoff is going to happen. So really, really important you do that, because you've got to have a good plan, which is a get out of debt plan. If you're in debt, very, very, that's where most people's margin gets eaten up or gets created. So if you can be aggressive on paying off that debt so you can create that margin, that's really where you want to be. If all you do is join our community just to get access to our debt forgiveness program, that would be a great thing to do. If you're in that category, reach out to the person who invited you onto this masterclass and they can show you how to get signed up and get you the information for the community. But really, this is critical for most people, because 70% of all households are still living paycheck to paycheck. And I will assert it's due to credit card debt. So make sure you handle that. Then the third part of see it, free it, and grow it is grow it, turning margin into investment. So what you want to do is you want to pay yourself first, okay? The moment margin appears, you've got to give it a job before your lifestyle absorbs it. Okay, very, very important. Wealthy people assign a job to all of their money. Money has one job, which is to go to work for you. Okay, you're going to pay some bills with it, but you really need money to work just as hard, if not harder than you do, to make you more money. So when you make more money, if you don't assign your money a job, lifestyle creep will creep in and it will absorb your money. What's lifestyle creep? It's when you make more money and your lifestyle starts to creep up and build on top of it. So what you want to do is you want to automate your margin. So if you have to remember to invest, that is a surefire way to not invest. So you want to set it up to move on its own. You want to redirect money that gets freed up from a paid off debt. It gets reassigned to investing, not back into your spending pool. So if you've allocated $500 to pay off debt and you've paid off that debt, you now allocate that $500 to invest, and you want to automate it. Just like you did auto pay on some of your credit cards, you want to auto deposit from your checking into savings, into your investment account, wherever that is. You want to do, if it's the same outflow of money, you're going to get a completely different outcome. So instead of paying off debt that you've got zero return on the investment, you're now paying into an investment account that's going to give you a return on the investment. Okay. And so you want to tie it to mission. This is how a spectator becomes a participant that becomes an owner. So really, really important that you give it a job and you completely shift the way you see it. Okay. You don't need a huge windfall of money. You need a system. You need something automated so that you start to become invested in your financial future. So don't wait until you have money to invest. Build the margin, automate the redirect, and you'll always have money to invest. So you want to free up margin and you want to create that money to invest. You do not have to wait for you to have a raise. You don't have to wait until something happens. You want to really create that margin. So actually, you know what? I'm going to go back real quick. So one of the things I want you to do right now is I want you to start looking at your monthly income and your monthly expenses. And this is, I went through this a little too quickly. We have a little bit of time. So two things that you really want to keep your eye on is your cash flow and net worth. Those are the two things that you want to know. Most people don't know those numbers right off the top of their head. They know exactly how much money they make, but they don't know how much money goes out and therefore don't know the margin, the cash flow that happens so that you can invest. And that cash flow is your future. So I want you to start tracking these numbers every single week. I want you to look and see how much money is coming in and how much money is going out every single week. You know, ideally you do it daily, but the reality is most people can't do it daily. But schedule a time once a week to really assess your cash flow and your net worth. Because if you don't schedule time to do it on a weekly basis, you are not going to do it. If it isn't scheduled, it's not going to happen. When you've got space for something to occur, that's when it actually occurs. So I want you to write down your cash flow and your net worth, your monthly, your weekly income, how much money came in this week, how much money went out, and what did you spend it on? What was it going out on? So really, really important that you do that. And in Pocket Nest, you have a tab that manages all that for you, but you want to at least take a look at it. You want to start seeing where the holes and the leaks in the boat are occurring. Because if you're trying to row and you're rowing to a destination, but there's all these leaks, you're plugging these leaks as you're trying to row. And so what you want is you want to make sure you've plugged all the leaks so that all you need to focus on is the rowing. So focus on cash flow and net worth. Make sure you do that. So I want you to make sure that people know exactly where to go on our website. When you go, if you're a guest and you do not have access to Pocket Nest, then where you want to go is you want to go to investornextdoorclub.com and you want to go right up here to member benefits and you can go to cash flow and net worth calculator. So as you enter this information in, it's literally going to give you monthly income. Let's say it's $10,000. Okay. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more. It's going to already put it in here, right here. And when you do housing expenses, let's say it's $2,500, okay? Or let's say it's like $3,000. It's going to automatically put it up here. So here, just below these two numbers, it's going to show you your cash flow is $7,000. And so you're going to put in all this information. You're also going to put in the information about your net worth, and it's going to calculate all of this right here. And then once you've entered all of that information in, and you want to take some time to do that, you're going to download the Excel report, and it's going to download it up here, and you're going to open that. And it's going to have all the information in here that you've put in. So you can put it directly in here, or you can put it in on our website. But very important. So when you download it, it's gonna download a Excel spreadsheet just like this. And you want to enable editing so that you can edit this information. And you want to save it and update it accordingly. But it's gonna calculate your cash flow and your net worth. So really important. It's going to have your income minus your expenses, and here's your cash flow. And then your net worth does the exact same thing, and it's going to calculate your net worth down here. So cash flow and net worth is really what I want you to start getting into your mind. That is the mantra that you want to start really focusing on is cash flow, net worth, cash flow, net worth. Then if you are not a member, you want to go to our debt reduction calculator and you want to start looking at increasing your debts. And I'm not going to go into all of this, but we've got a masterclass on a good plan, which is a get out of debt plan. We go in through this in detail, but in your members, if you're in debt, you want to go this debt forgiveness. Make sure you've logged in, and inside of this debt forgiveness, you're going to log in to book a free session. So you're going to book a free session, and they're going to show you exactly what they can do for you, what it's going to look like, what can you expect. And our members literally get 20 to 40% of their debt completely forgiven. It's going to reduce your interest rate, and it's going to dramatically reduce your monthly outflow and expenses. So if you want to be more aggressive and pay off your debt faster so that you can create margin quicker, then I highly recommend that you do that. So very, very important that you do that. And also we have other retirement calculators, all that other stuff as well, but really important that you take advantage of that, because that's what's really going to make the difference for you in your future, is if you take care of that. So utilize these tools so that you know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. And remember, cash flow, that's the margin that investing occurs in. So make sure that you really take advantage of that. Okay, hold on. Let me share my screen again. All right, going back to the PowerPoint now. So just know your numbers so that you know how to make a difference, right? So what are the two numbers I want you to write down and track every single week? What is your starting line? What are the two numbers that you need to track consistently? Someone throw that in the chat if you remember. Everyone's being shy tonight. All right, cash flow and net worth. Cash flow and net worth are the two numbers that you want to track every single week. Very, very important. And then that's the margin, okay? If you, the minimum payments that you free up here in this, that becomes your investing dollars. So everyone needs to identify at least one expense that you can cut right now that's going to create margin right now, and one debt that you can attack first. That's your plan to create margin. So one expense to cut and one debt to attack. That's where your margin lies. So if you cut one expense, you can take that expense and now apply it towards your debt to create more margin, and really make sure you do that. And then don't wait until you have money to invest. All right. So a 7-day action plan. One, you got to see it. You got to know your numbers. You got to complete the cash flow net worth calculator and download the report, or open your Pocket Nest app. Make sure you link all of your accounts to Pocket Nest and start, whether you've got Pocket Nest or you're doing it online with the free tools. Schedule in your calendar every single week, probably at the same time every week, where you can track your cash flow and your net worth. And it shouldn't take you much more weekly than 10 minutes to look and see where was money flowing in and out of. You want to start consolidating where you're spending money. Is it your checking account? We have a checking account, checking accounts for business and personal, our credit card, personal and business, and we don't use a whole lot of other things. So you want to just really limit where you spend money so that you can easily track that information. And then you want to free it. Step 2 is just finding margin. Run your debt through your debt flow calculator. Figure out when your debt-free date is and see what you can do to accelerate that date. So see what you can do to cut more expenses, add more margin, make a little bit more money, a side hustle. We've got a great affiliate program with our Investor Next Door Club. If you're a member, utilize that to create more margin, to add more fuel to your fire. And then you want to grow it. You want to pick $1 amount to redirect to start investing in automated. Now, I don't recommend you do that if you're still in debt. If you've got high interest credit card debt, you cannot outperform 29, 30% interest. Like, it's really, really hard to find investments that make that kind of return. You're better off paying off all that high interest debt before you redirect those dollars. But what's kind of fun is for you to hypothetically say, okay, I'm going to start adding up how much money that I'm spending in debt every month. If you want to track that, for me, it gave me just a lot of excitement and really more fuel to my fire to pay off debt faster when I realized how much I was spending paying off debt. So your toolkit that you need to use for members, it's Pocket Nest. It's an incredible, robust tool. For people who are not members, you can go to our free tools that we have on our website. We do not track any of that. We do not hold any of that. But what I recommend is as soon as this masterclass is done, do step one. Handle your cash flow and your net worth. For those of you who are members, that's done very, very quickly with your Pocket Nest app. Just download the app. It's really user-friendly, super, super simple to use. It's very intuitive on how to spend it. So your margin actually can start tonight. Like you can start knowing exactly where you are to see it, free it, and grow it. So for those of you who are members, we look forward to seeing you around all of our member events. You guys have a great, fantastic night.